Hey guys, welcome in, welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my instant reaction vlog to Iowa's 7-3 victory. That's right, you heard it correctly. 7-3 victory yesterday inside of Kinnick Stadium over the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. This is a first for me here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my first instant reaction vlog. Instant, even though I'm saying that with air quotes because it is a little misleading. It has been well over a day since this game completed, so I'm still going to call it a instant reaction to the game. This is my first ever instant reaction vlog to either an Iowa or a Missouri game, but I definitely don't think it's going to be my last. Been wanting to do this for a while, just it's tough for me at games conclusions or the next day to do this, but I definitely will be doing a few of these this season after a couple of either big victories, big losses, big time matchups for Iowa and Missouri. I just felt the need, I felt compelled to have to do one in response to this game because there is a lot to unpack, and we will get to that. Good news, the best news is Iowa is now 1-0 on the season. You do win and advance. I mean, I hate to use that term from the March Madness college basketball tournament, but that's really what it came down to Saturday afternoon inside of Kinnick. And in a way, I'm really happy that I didn't have an instant reaction vlog right after the football game, because as soon as this game concluded, the family and I packed up. We had to leave. We were en route to a wedding venue. My brother and sister-in-law, they tied the knot. Congratulations once again, Andrew and Jill. It was a beautiful ceremony. No, absolutely zero hiccups or issues. Everything went beautifully and according to plan. And yours truly, I was the officiant and the minister, that's right, via the Show Me State. I am officially a man of the cloth, so I was able to officially marry them. And that's the first time I've done that, so it was an absolute honor and pleasure for me to be involved with that, and thank you for including me. But I'm really kind of glad I didn't have an instant reaction, because driving to the venue, I had a lot on my mind, a lot to go through in this 7-3 victory. And even today, now that and really where I was yesterday, I am not angry, all right? I'm going to start off by saying this. Before we get to the good and the bad of this game, I'm not angry. A lot of people I've seen on social media, this and that, there is a lot of anger throughout Hawkeye Nation based on the challenges and issues specifically with the offensive unit of our black and gold squad, but I'm more or less I'm a little bit concerned and I'm disappointed. And if you're a parent, I try to teach this to my children every day, that there is a big time difference between being angry and being disappointed. And I'm disappointed and concerned because we all knew as Iowa fans coming into this season what the challenges of the offense was last season. We were absolutely concerned. It was one of the main things I focused on during my Iowa Hawkeye 2022 preview and prediction show. If you haven't checked out that episode, feel free to do so. I think you'll like it. Is we knew that we were going to be a little bit concerned based on the challenges and at times the inept offense that we saw last season. And that absolutely just came up and showed us in full flavor what that offense could be this season, but hopefully not, because it can't get much worse than what we saw. So let's get into it right now, and my job is always to be as objective as possible. Yes, I am an Iowa fan, but I've said this several times on previous episodes. I do whatever I can not to be a Homer Simpson. I'll take my fan hat off and look at things objectively and subjectively to see what I think. So 7-3, and you're right, that is not an Iowa field hockey score or a soccer score or baseball or softball. It is a football score. And let's go ahead and start with the good, okay? Because a lot of people I know want to focus on the bad, but let's just start with the good news, okay? And to be devil's advocate here, keep this in mind. This was still a very good football team that Iowa faced on Saturday. Ranked number 3 in the nation at the FCS level. I mean, a program that has a culture of winning and success at the FCS level. And I am not making any excuses for Iowa, okay? And we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I want all of you to definitely keep that in mind, that this is a good football team that they squared off against. And in a lot of ways, you know, it's points in the game, I mean, I kind of expected the Jackrabbits to see it through and come out of Kinnick with a victory, and really they kind of deserved to win, and they did. It was a great showing by them, their fans, their alums, the players, coaching staff. You should be very proud. That's right, Brad, one of my colleagues that I work with, his dad's a South Dakota State grad. You should be very happy with what we saw, that level of effort coming into Kinnick, one of the most hostile environments in all of college football. So this is a good team, and this is a team that really could defeat a lot of Division I FBS opponents straight up. Not the majority of teams or 50% of the teams, but this team could beat some of the low-lying fruit in some of the conferences. They absolutely could. So please keep that in mind, but I'm taking nothing away from South Dakota State or letting Iowa off the hook. So the good that we saw, I mean, you know, was this not the most Iowa win we have ever seen? As Iowa fans, we know what the blueprint is and what it's been under Coach Kirk Ferentz now in his 24th season. Yikes. We know how Iowa wins. They basically will win through defense, special teams, and just have the offense do enough and not put you in precarious situations. And that was on full display Saturday. I mean, this is, like I said, this is a signature win when you're looking at the Hawkeye way, how Iowa wants to win games. And late in the second half, I mean, I was getting some texts and some calls about, hey, are you worried? And really, I wasn't, because we've seen this all play out before. We know this film. We know this blueprint. And I said, this is exactly how Iowa wants to proceed with winning games. So I was never really that concerned. I wasn't. I was never at DEFCON 1 or DEFCON 2. I just wasn't. Maybe DEFCON 3. The birds were in the silos, okay? They were warming up a little bit. But we just knew that, hey, this is a typical Iowa rock fight, and they're probably going to come out on top like they do 9 times out of 10. The defense. I mean, I got to start there. I mean, once again, I mentioned this on the Iowa season preview and prediction show, and so did my brother Anthony, that this is yet, you're wasting a golden age of Iowa defense. Giving up 3 points on the afternoon when their offense put them in awful situations. They stepped up and they did exactly just what the Iowa defense does. Stymied the Jackrabbits, kept them at bay, fought them off time and time again. I mean, 3 points. Yeah, some once again might say, well, it's an FCS opponent. I get it. But this team is normally going to put up more than 3 points per game against anybody they play. So the Iowa defense, once again, you know, you ask them to save the day, and that's exactly what they do. I mean, overall, when I look at what they kept the Jackrabbits, I've got the stats here. Pardon me, I didn't really, you know, plan much of this today, kind of doing it on a whim. Overall, let's see, South Dakota State as a team only passed for 87 yards. Total rushing for the Jackrabbits, 33 yards total of rushing. I mean, the Iowa defense did not force a turnover yesterday, but still, they did everything else they needed to do, and that included getting not 1, but 2 safeties. 2 safeties. So the Iowa defense completely outscored the Iowa offense. Iowa got 2 safeties and a field goal. So the Iowa defense, once again, saves the day. They do what they do, and what we've got accustomed to as Iowa fans, the best kept secret defensively in the nation now for the past 6 years, just how good the Iowa defense is. And if they only had an average, just be average, an average offense, Iowa could be competing year in and year out for the big prizes. Not only in the Big Ten, but on the entire landscape, they could with how good this defense has been. They are wasting this, okay? So the defense, great job. I believe they tallied, 5 sacks on the day. Let's see here. Iowa defensively, they tallied 4 sacks. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss. Not too bad. 5 QB hurries. They were in the backfield. The Jackrabbit offensive line didn't really have an answer for Iowa's defensive front seven. They just didn't. That's where the game was really won, or that's what set up victory. Because I'm going to get to absolutely who has the most praise as far as unit or individual, who you can say this person won the game for Iowa. So defense, great job. You do what you do. But we've got to go. A guy that right now won the game for Iowa, put him on the Heisman Trophy shortlist for candidates. After one game, it was announced he is the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the week, which is absolutely no surprise, is my guy, Tory Taylor, the punter from down under. He was absolutely the MVP of this game. The best player on the field was Iowa's punter, where we know, as Iowa fans, punting is winning. Duh. And it really was winning Saturday inside of Kinnick Stadium. Just what an absolute great individual effort by Tory Taylor. He's a Heisman candidate. After one game, he should be on the ballot. 10 punts for Tory Taylor total, 2 touchbacks. So of those 8 punts that were in play, I'm going to break this down for you because this is where the game was won. Because without his punting prowess, that set up those 2 safeties by the Iowa defense. Because I've said this before, punting for Iowa is an extension of the defense. It is the defense's first play during that series. So of the 8 punts that were in play by Tory Taylor, 7 of them were inside the 20-yard line. And of those 7, 5 were inside the 10-yard line. And of those 5, 4 of the 5 were inside the 5-yard line. That is absolutely remarkable. That is, to me, I didn't watch the ESPN wrap-up show Saturday night because of the wedding, getting my groove on, dancing, getting my drink on a little bit. But I hope he did get a helmet sticker because he absolutely deserved it. He deserves all the credit for this Iowa victory. And we knew this guy was going to be a game changer for Iowa this season. He was one of the players I highlighted during my Hawkeye preview and prediction episode, and he did not disappoint. He is absolutely the player of the game, best player on the field, which we applaud that. But that also is reason for concern. And this is why some people will badmouth and look down upon the Iowa program itself, because the MVP of the game undoubtedly being the punter. That is what the issue is with our program. So great job by Tory Taylor, the defense. You did what you do. The other special teams, making his Iowa debut, Aaron Blom. He was 1 of 2 kicking field goals. Made a 46-yarder. I believe he missed a 40-yarder. So 1 of 2 field goals, that's 50%. It's better to make 1 than miss both. But this is how I'm going to lead into the bad now, because I've said this before. Last year with Iowa winning 10 games and winning the West Division, it still isn't something that the engineers at NASA probably could not even figure out. Let's crunch the numbers, the profile, the overall stats. How did this happen, and what is the probability that this could happen or will ever happen again. And here's the thing. They definitely would be working overtime during this holiday weekend because I asked them to try to figure this out again. Iowa did not score a single touchdown. They lost the turnover battle 1-0, so -1 in the turnover battle. Only made 1 of 2 field goals. Basically, it was almost an exact split in time of possession. It was 40 minutes and change for Iowa and 39 and change for South Dakota State. So basically, you tied the time of possession, but yet they still won. It absolutely boggles my mind. And that's why this is such an impressive victory, but such an awfully embarrassing victory. I mean, and sometimes we know this as fans of any sport. Sometimes even in victory, there is defeat. And this was absolutely one of those games. So try to figure that out, how Iowa wins. And that is the fun fact. The last time that a Big Ten team scored 7 points or less in victory was, you guessed it, 2004, I believe, our Iowa Hawkeyes won at Penn State 6-4. Go figure. See, once again, we've seen this film play out in Iowa City. So let's get to the bad. And boy, oh boy, was it bad. The Iowa offense. Okay. I'm going to say this right now. The current Hawkeye roster and coaching staff, I don't know any of them. Okay, I respect them as human beings, as people, and I don't want to make personal attacks on anybody. I don't want to do that. Okay, because I let the stats speak for themselves and just what these guys told me and what I saw for myself. I know everybody wants to start off with the quarterback play, or lack thereof, which is more accurate. The play calling. I know most people want to start there, but I'm going to start with, to me, is where all of these breakdowns begin. To where if you can't fix this, you can't expect this to be fixed. And that's along the offensive line. Throughout the entire afternoon, the Iowa O-line was absolutely dominated by the Jackrabbits. They had no answer for them, all right? And in turn, that led to basically a non-existent rushing attack. Iowa rushing, as a team, 57 yards is all we could muster on the ground. Good for an average of 1.6 yards. We couldn't even average 2 yards per carry against an FCS opponent. Even though a very good one, but still, that is completely unacceptable. And Iowa needed the run game to come through. I said during the preview episode that if Iowa could not establish a run in this game, they would lose. And it almost came to fruition, probably should have lost. And I know there were a lot of key injuries on the offensive side for Iowa. I'm going to say that. Their number 1 running back, Gavin Williams, did not play. So LaShawn Williams, number 2 on the depth chart, got the start. Iowa was completely depleted of wide receivers. Their best playmaker, Keegan Johnson, did not play due to injury. Mr. Reliable, Mr. Move the Chains, Nico Reganey, also did not see the field. And they basically were down to 1. That's right, 1. That's all we got, 1 goddamn hit, like in Major League, 1 scholarship wide receiver. So Iowa was behind the 8 ball with personnel and injuries. They absolutely were. But I'm not making that an excuse, because you still should have dominated the line of scrimmage and run for 200 yards just to put this game away. Let your defense show up, show out like they do and like they did, and win on special teams. And Iowa could not do that. The offensive line, time and time again, did not give LaShawn Williams any running lanes. And also, at that point, when Iowa kind of had to abandon the run game, you know what that led to. Tee off on the quarterback. And we know that Spencer Petras is not fleet of foot, and I've said this several times. I think he has a lot of mental scarring from last season's lack of execution and protection from the Iowa O-line. I mean, they have to get better. It is not going to get any better. I don't care, Iowa fans, a lot of you are calling for a change at quarterback, and I'll address this more here in a little bit later in the episode. But I don't care who's back there playing quarterback. If the O-line cannot open rushing lanes, win the point of attack, keep the point of attack, or give the quarterbacks time to set their feet, go through their progressions, it doesn't matter who's there. This is the biggest problem for Iowa. If you have an inept passing attack, okay. And look what Wisconsin has did for all of these seasons when they've been successful. A passing game that really didn't exist because it didn't have to. If you run the ball, you have the option to pass when you want to compared to when you have to. And when Iowa, the last 2 seasons, actually 3 seasons, when teams knew they had to pass, it has been trouble for the quarterbacks, okay? So the O-line, this is to me the biggest problem right now, the first thing that has to be fixed with the Iowa offense, okay? You may agree, disagree, let me know, give me comments, like, share, subscribe, let me know what you think. But this is the biggest danger Will Robinson area for me, is the O-line play. I didn't think it could be much worse than last year, but what we just saw, it's only been 1 game. I know that. But not a telling sign, hopefully, of things to come. It has to get better. So the O-line, even though they only gave up, I think, 2 sacks on the day, let's see, you have 2 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss by the Jackrabbits. So the numbers aren't bad, but Petras was rushed. And we all know when he's rushed, he's got happy feet, and the inaccuracy that continues to be his biggest problem, it's on full display. And now I'm going to get to the quarterback play at Iowa. Spencer Petras, total numbers, he was 11 for 25. 11 for 25 for a whopping 44% completion percentage. Total yards, 109 passing yards. 109 passing yards total. 0 touchdowns with 1 interception. Good for a QBR of 1.1. I mean, yeah, if this is a golf match, that's a great number. Go low or go home. But a QBR of 1.1, yikes. Last year, Iowa's offense averaged 180 yards passing per game, and this game, 109 from Spencer Petras. Alex Padilla never saw the field. I thought at some point it would have been good to maybe just give him 1 series to see if that would inject a little bit of life into the Iowa offense. Coach Kirk Ferentz and Brian Ferentz, the OC, never did that. And a lot of people right now are already calling for Spencer Petras to be benched, to make a quarterback change. But I'm telling you right now, it may come to that. But keep in mind, it's been 1 game, folks and fans. If you were to make a quarterback change now, you can never look back, okay? And obviously, Spencer Petras has gathered and gained a lot of trust between Coach Ferentz and his staff. They're going to give him lots of leeway, and maybe that's because he's earned it, which I'm sure he has, or maybe just Alex Padilla is not ready. This may be the best we have. We hope not, but it could be. And I am against making a quarterback change now. Wait a couple of more weeks, because if you do it now and Alex Padilla is even worse, which is my favorite Weird Al Yankovic album title, by the way, you cannot go back to Spencer Petras. I mean, mentally, I think Petras is already a little shattered from last season, running for his life, and then hearing the boo birds at halftime, which, remember, I did predict that during my picks segment last week, that at halftime Iowa would be tied or down slightly at halftime, and the boo birds would be raining down, which they were. You can't go back to Petras. If you make a quarterback change this early, you can never look back, and then you put all of your eggs into one basket. So until either Spencer Petras plays his way out of the starting role, whether it's on the field or injury, Alex Padilla is not going to be the starting quarterback. Okay, he's just not. Because if he hasn't earned it yet, that's telling. And it's way concerning. I came into this season and this game being concerned. Moving forward, it is concerning. Big time, to say the least. So Spencer Petras, 11 of 25, 109 yards. And, you know, it's not... I don't fault him for feeling rushed. That's squarely on the offensive line. Okay, and obviously being depleted at wide receiver, Sam Laporta had himself a really good game, as I knew he would. Da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun. Laporta. Da-dun-da-da-dun-da-dun-dun. Yeah, Laporta had 2 receptions for 9 yards, but he was targeted several times. But I tell you, you can teach footwork. When you're dealing with the quarterback, you can teach fundamentals. You can teach them good footwork. You give them a playbook. They can learn it, but you can't teach accuracy. And that continues to be Spencer Petras' biggest problem. He is not accurate. Sometimes when you're rushed, absolutely, anybody would be a little bit inaccurate. But even when he has time to set his feet, go through the progressions, obviously then it's basic QB play that the percentage of a completion goes way up, but for him it just slightly goes up because the accuracy continues to be not there. He is all over the radar. So hopefully he hasn't reached the ceiling, but right now, fans, we have to try to support this, okay? Because I think this young man, he looks like to be a good leader, which is the other thing you can't teach, is leadership. And by all accounts, from what I've read, what I've heard, what I've seen, that he's a good leader. And he is a gamer, all right? But the accuracy just is not there. And that you cannot teach. So, coming up this Saturday, Week 2, Iowa State comes calling to Kinnick Stadium in the yearly Cy-Hawk in-state rivalry game. Iowa State won big over the weekend. I did not watch any of their game, but officially during my schedule breakdown for the Iowa 2022 season preview and prediction, I picked Iowa State to win. And as of right now, I'm probably going to stick with that call. I reserve the right to change those throughout the year. I mean, last year I did pick Iowa to go 8-4. 10-2 was the ceiling that I predicted, which is what they did finish. But I actually kept with all 4 of my losses last year. So seeing this game by Iowa did not help me favor changing that pick, but tune in on Thursday. I'll have my picks for upcoming Week 2 for Iowa, Missouri, and 13 other games that I pick at random. So that's where we are. I mean, hopefully things get fixed. Hopefully we have some key guys come back from injury who'll be there in this Cy-Hawk game on Saturday. But it might be a long season, Hawk fans. I mean, keep the faith. It's only been 1 week. There's no need to panic. You know, like Kevin Bacon in Animal House. All is well. Remain calm. There's no need to panic yet. We'll see what Week 2 brings us. Hopefully you enjoyed this instant reaction vlog to the game between Iowa and South Dakota State. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think, Iowa fans, black and gold fans, college football fans alike. But hey, the greatest news is a victory. You know, half of Division I is undefeated, the other half is not. So we are 1-0 in the season, so no need to get too down and out. But we'll see what next week's game brings us. So we'll be watching the offense and defense. I applaud you, Tory Taylor, special teams. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. But I don't know where we go from here, but I do know this. I thank and appreciate all you do for the channel. Please, without you, this would not be possible. I love being here, sharing my passion and love for college football and all things Iowa with you, the black and gold family, and all of you college football fanatics alike. So let's keep the word going. Like, share, subscribe, rate, comment. I always encourage any involvement from you, the fan. And until next week, and be looking for me. I'll have a couple episodes out this week. Until then, peace, love, prosperity, progress. And I thank you for joining me on this very special episode. See you soon. Bye-bye.